Imagine for a moment, believing yourself to be something entirely different from your true, magnificent self. Deep within the sun-drenched heart of the sprawling African savanna, a powerful story began to unfold. It was the tale of a tiny lion cub, orphaned and alone, his desperate cries swallowed by the vastness of the plains. By a twist of fate and a stroke of profound compassion, he was discovered not by his own kind, but by a gentle, unassuming flock of sheep. They took him in, naming him Leo, and raised him with unwavering love, teaching him their ways. Leo grew up, bleating softly, nibbling at tender blades of grass, and huddling close to the warm, woolly bodies of his adoptive family. He learned to mimic their every movement, their timid glances, their cautious steps. In his innocent heart, he truly believed he was one of them, a sheep, albeit an unusually large and furry one. He lived a life of quiet conformity, entirely unaware of the dormant power that lay hidden within his very being. Day after day, Leo followed the flock, his large paws treading lightly, his powerful frame hunched slightly to blend in. He grazed alongside them, his vocalizations indistinguishable from the soft buzz of his woolly family. He felt the same fears, shared the same anxieties, and sought the same comforts as the sheep. The thought of being anything other than a sheep never once crossed his mind. He saw his reflection occasionally in still puddles, a face undeniably different, but he simply attributed it to being a uniquely large, slightly odd-looking sheep, embraced by his loving family. But the vast savanna held more than just gentle sheep. One scorching afternoon, an ancient, battle-scarred lion, wise with seasons of sun and survival, watched from a rocky outcrop, his amber eyes sharp with years of observation, narrowed as he witnessed the peculiar sight, a magnificent young lion, strong and regal, yet meekly grazing amongst a flock of sheep. He saw the inherent power, the dormant fire, the undeniable lion spirit, completely overshadowed by learned timidity. A profound sadness, mixed with a fierce determination, stirred within the old lion. He knew he had to act, to awaken the sleeping giant within the young cub. The old lion descended from the rocks, his powerful frame moving with silent grace. Leo, startled by the magnificent, fearsome creature, instinctively huddled closer to the sheep, his heart pounding. He tried to mimic their trembling bleats, but a low, rumbling growl escaped him. The old lion, however, ignored the flock, his gaze fixed solely on Leo. With surprising gentleness, he nudged the young cub away from the frightened sheep, toward a still pool of water nestled amongst the reeds. "Look, young one," the old lion rumbled, his voice a deep vibration that resonated through Leo's chest. "Look closely at what you truly are." Leo hesitated, his sheepish instincts warring with a strange pull towards the water's edge. Slowly, cautiously, he approached, his golden eyes peering into the glassy surface. There, staring back, was not the woolly, timid creature he believed himself to be. Instead, a powerful, majestic face with a nascent mane, piercing eyes, and a strong jaw reflected back. It was a face utterly different from his adoptive family. A face that stirred something ancient and primal within his very bones. A profound shock, a wave of confusion, and then a flicker of something entirely new began to dawn within him. Leo stared. The reflection was undeniably him, yet so alien to everything he had ever known. His mind reeled, trying to reconcile the powerful, golden creature with the timid, bleeding sheep he believed himself to be. A profound sense of disorientation washed over him, like a dream turning into stark reality. He looked from the reflection to his own paws, then back to the noble face in the water. There was no wool, no gentle snout, only muscle, fur, and an undeniable wildness in those reflected eyes. The old lion watched, silent and patient, allowing the truth to settle. "Do you see now, young one?" he finally asked, his voice softer, but no less commanding. "Do you see the strength that courses through your veins? The power that lies dormant within you?" A tremor ran through Leo, not of fear, but of a burgeoning, unfamiliar energy. Memories, long suppressed, flickered at the edge of his consciousness. A primal instinct to stalk, a forgotten hunger for something more than grass. The bleating of the distant sheep, once his comfort, now sounded distant, almost alien. A surge of something fierce, truly his own, began to stir deep within his chest, pushing against his sheepish identity. The world, as he knew it, was crumbling, making way for a truth far grander and more terrifyingly beautiful. He was at a precipice, on the verge of a monumental awakening. The bleating of his sheep family, once a comforting lullaby, now sounded alien. A faint echo of a life that no longer fit. Leo's gaze locked onto his reflection again, a profound recognition finally blooming within his chest. This was him, this powerful golden creature, with eyes that held the spark of the wild, was his true self. The years of timid bleating, of grazing meekly, of fearing every shadow, they were merely a costume. A role he had unknowingly played. A deep, unfamiliar tremor began in his gut, rising through his chest. A sensation unlike any fear he had ever known. It was an awakening, a surge of raw, untamed power. The old lion watched, a knowing glint in his ancient eyes. "Feel it, young one," he urged, his voice resonating with centuries of wisdom. "Let go of the bleat. Embrace the roar." Leo's muscles tensed, his throat tightening, not with fear, but with an immense, building pressure. He closed his eyes. The image of the majestic lion in the water burned into his mind, and with it, the undeniable truth of who he truly was. The sheepish facade shattered completely, replaced by an instinctual, overwhelming urge to express this newfound identity. Then, from the depths of his being, a sound erupted. It wasn't a bleat or a whimper, but a raw, earth-shaking roar that tore through the valley, echoing off the ancient rocks and silencing the distant bleating of his former family. It was the sound of 1,000 generations of lions, a primal declaration of existence. Every fiber of Leo's body vibrated with its power. His eyes, now truly golden and fierce, snapped open. He was not a sheep. He was a lion. And in that moment, he knew, with undeniable certainty, that this was who he was always meant to be. The old lion nodded, a satisfied gleam in his ancient eyes. Leo had found his voice, his truth, his strength, and so, my friends, remember Leo's journey. Don't let false beliefs or socially imposed weaknesses obscure the magnificent truth of who you are. Look within, see your reflection, not in the limiting eyes of others, but in the boundless potential of your own spirit. Overcome mental limitations, shed borrowed weaknesses, and unleash your unique, powerful roar. Discover yourself, for within you lies an untamed strength, waiting to be set free. It's time to find your true self.